After Crisis on Infinite Earths and after The Dark Knight Returns, DC Comics tasked Frank Miller with telling the origin story of Batman, or retelling, rather. And Frank Miller, paired with David Mazzucchelli, made what I think is a top 10 comic book of all time, a masterpiece. And this is the best way to collect Batman Year One, and that's what we're going to talk about. Stay tuned and watch this video until the end. And we're back. Thank you for joining me. This is Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm on the road to 3,000 subscribers and I need your help. Give the video a thumbs up. Those things all help in the YouTube algorithm, putting my videos in front of the eyeballs of people that don't know my channel exists. And I'd appreciate that a lot. So Batman Year One is a comic book that I talk about a lot as being a top 10 comic book of all time. I, on my channel, showed off the artist edition, the beautiful artist edition, the greatest book that came out of 2024. So there's a video on that and what makes it so great. I even do some comparisons between the Absolute Edition and the artist edition for that. But today, we're just talking about the Absolute Edition because I, for some reason, have not done a video on this edition on my channel, and I want to kind of sell it to you. If you've had your eyes on it, think about buying it, and maybe I could do my final pitch to it for you. So the back cover, mine's all scratched up too. Just ignore that part. It shouldn't come that way to you. But on the back side, it just says Year One in these giant bold letters. I love it. And then here's the back of the slipcase, so you can shelve it on your bookshelf this way if you want. The other side has this great David Mazzucchelli piece of Batman. And then we see this side, and it has the spines of both books inside because there are two books. And those are there. And then over here, the cover price $125, which is expensive, especially when we're talking about just 4 issues of comic books. But let me explain to you why this is still worth that price tag. So we open it up, and there are 2 books inside. Now, they have not split the issues between 2 books. They are actually 2 different versions of the same story. And I think that's what makes this package so beautiful. And I love that DC put it out this way. They did a similar treatment with the Killing Joke Absolute Edition, which I'll do a video on that as well, where they showed both printings, where they had like the original colors and then the collected edition covers, the graphic novel colors. And you get to showcase those. Now with the Killing Joke version, those are all inside one book. They did it in 2 separate books here. And you can see on this version, we have a kind of this wraparound cover here. And this is the one with the redone colors. Richmond Lewis did do the colors on both. So we don't have a different colorist in modern times going back and recoloring or anything. This was Richmond Lewis going back and seeing some of the work that she did with the Mazzucchelli art on the previous issues and wanting to update it and change some things based on some methods that she discovered or learned or just got better at and improved. Now this edition is what's going to create your facsimile copy. It's going to collect it in the most faithful rendition, as I zoom in the camera here a little bit to try to get this, improve the shot for you. Most faithful rendition to the original issues as possible. Now I'll do some comparisons, but I will just say this is my favorite way to read it. Longtime viewers of my channel will know that I always want things to be as faithful to the original edition as possible with the books. So that's why I like the Taschen editions of the Marvel reprints as opposed to the Marvel omnibuses and how they restored those things to the Marvel Masterwork program. And then we have the spines here, what says Book 1, Book 2, and then the back cover. So if you weren't aware, Batman Year One was released across 4 issues, and it was done in just the main Batman line title. Now, today, if this were to come out, it'd probably be a mini-series that came out, as we see on the shelves at all times. But it was really important for them to put this through the main line of Batman, because it takes place in issues 404 through 407, just to kind of start a new status quo for Batman and kind of set the pace for what we can expect from Batman going forward. And it was also post-Crisis on Infinite Earths, where all the heroes were getting resets. We got Superman with Man of Steel, Wonder Woman got the George Perez treatment. Now, Batman was the least altered of all the heroes, but they still wanted kind of a chapter starting point for Batman. and this was it. So they even had like the old UPC on here. But this is the cover to 404, and then on the back side of this hardcover, you'll see the cover to 407, which is the last issue of the series. Now, as we open this, on the end papers, we see Batman there. And same thing for both hardcovers, but with a different color treatment on the background here. And the end papers on the back end, I think, are the same. Yeah, the back end papers are the same. It does come with a beautiful ribbon, which is always nice. Now, as we open it up, this has, there's no extra, sorry, there are extras in this one. But as far as like the collected edition treatment of like having like the chapter break and title page and things, this is truly just the facsimile edition copies of these issues. And I guess they were the personal copies of David Mazzucchelli they used for scanning these. It's even got this cool treatment in here too, which is similar to the Taschen editions from Marvel, where the cover stock is like glossy, just like the original issue was. And then on the inside issue, it's got this newsprint style paper, which is important because when you're coloring things, this was originally colored by Richmond Lewis, who took into account the fact that this would be printed on newsprint paper. So you can't take those same exact color treatment, the same files and things, and put them on glossy paper. It would change the color. So they wanted to put it on newsprint to mirror that treatment. And these are exactly the same. I mean, they have the indicia on the inside. You'll even see like the printing lines at the top too, which I think are done for, so the printer knows what it's printing and things. It does look like my glue is coming undone here, but I have read this a number of times in this edition. So now in this copy, we're going to get any of the extras and things that you would want for, that would be like in your normal typical like trade paperback or hardcover deluxe edition of Batman Year One. You got the title page here that they released. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Todd Klein's lettering in here, which is really, really great. You get an introduction by Denny O'Neil that was written in 1988. And then an introduction by Frank Miller that was written in 1988. And then this is how the graphic novel started. So that you got this kind of newspaper print on the inside cover, collecting that. And then you have this edition of the cover, the first issue, which did not have, or does not have the trade dress on it. If I can open it up here. Forgive me. Pages are sticking together. And you can see right away, we're getting some color choices that are different by Richmond Lewis. You can see the suit colors are different, the jacket colors and things. And then, obviously, there's no trade dress on that, but... and then, this is their inside title page. So the one thing that was really cool about these issues when they were coming out is that they had this cool title page, which is kind of different for the comic books back then. They didn't really have this title page. It would be an ad or it'd just be the opening splash page. Now they just kind of repurposed that and spread it across two pieces of paper, or 2 pages here, because it says the same thing. He'll become the greatest crime fighter. Like that's up there, and they put it over here. I'm not going to go over every single page, I promise. I just want to give you a good sense of why these are the way they are and what makes them different. Now, there will be people that are not as purist about newsprint and things that will denigrate this copy and say it's not as clear, it's kind of muddied and things, but that's kind of the nostalgic point of this art that I love. Now those things are cleared up in here. You can see like that image of Bruce Wayne on the airplane is clear. The image of Jim Gordon is clear. And the lines here by David Mazzucchelli are clear. Now, as far as the color choices, you can see the difference here. It looks like Richmond Lewis went for a Richmond Lewis wanted the 2 focal figures here to be the woman that was breastfeeding on the train next to Jim Gordon to be the standouts. On here, you can see that they don't stand out as much because the whole scene is there. So that was like a storytelling difference there that Richmond Lewis chose. And then here as well, there's some textures that Richmond Lewis added in here to, I think it's like the night sky looking through those windows. You can't see that on the original copy. So it's really a matter of preference. But what's great about this Absolute Edition is that you have a choice to read it in either way, regardless of how it's done. Now, there are also some shading choices too that Richmond Lewis took into account. So here's the graphic novel version, and then here's the newsprint original issue version. And you can see the jacket colors are changed a little bit too. And on here you can see the textures of the newsprint, which is, again, a nostalgic piece, but not meant to be textures on the jackets and things. Because I don't think that doesn't look like Zipatone to me, although I guess it could be. I'd have to bust out the artist edition to see if that was Zipatone. But then on here, you can see like the shadow back here is like this blood red, and it's bleeding into the gutters of the panel over here. You don't see that here necessarily. And then as far as the silhouettes go, these awesome silhouettes that Mazzucchelli drew, the background on here is just one straight color. On here, you get kind of a gradient, a shading by Richmond Lewis. So there's some pieces that I'm like, oh man, Richmond Lewis had a really good idea when she was able to go back and look at things with the color choices. But then for the most part, I like the original color choices on here. This is an amazing panel too. I love this panel by Mazzucchelli, and it is cleared up here. But I kind of like the smokiness and the cheap newsprint. Like it's almost like this cheap pulp story, and you have it on this cheap newsprint, and it kind of makes this look grittier and dirtier of Gotham. And this looks a little bit more cleaner and clear. Again, it's a matter of preference. You tell me in the comments what you guys think as far as what you guys prefer on which edition. I do want to see. Yeah, see, then on this edition too, you see like the lights on the police car creating these. It's almost like creating its own panel border a little bit, but it's like this cross, the shine of the lights. On here, she went with like a more red on this reddish brown in the background. I like this color choice better. I think it kind of fits this kind of disorienting look of the lights, where it kind of looks like it could be a panel, but it's not. But it kind of creates a disorientation when it's done that stark. Here, it just kind of blends in a little bit. So again, you let me know what your preference is in the comments. But the other one that I want to point out that's like the most obvious difference, like the panel that's like, every time I read this, I'm like, oh man, they really went different with that one, is the closing splash page of issue number 3. Well, it's issue 406, but it's the 3rd issue of the story. Right here. So you can see on here on the bedspread, a lot of color choices are different in 2, but Richmond Lewis went in and actually put a bedspread on here, like a printed bedspread. On here, it was just one color. So again, different choices that were made for both. Now, as far as the extras go, on the Batman Year One, the facsimile hardcover, you get all the letters in here. Now, this is the coolest thing about the letters, though, is that they didn't just put the exact same letter column that was in each issue. They put the letter column that corresponded with that issue. Now, what that means is you would get an issue of comics would come out, and then 3 months later, and then the readers would write in letters, and then it would be like 3 issues later you get the letters for that. So what I'm trying to explain here is this issue that we're looking at is Batman 406. This letter column didn't originally ran in an issue of Batman 410. If they ran the letter column that appeared in 406, it would be talking about the issue 403, like before Batman Year One even existed. So that would not have even been relevant to this collected edition. So it still looks like a facsimile edition because of the letter page. I mean, it's all congruent, but they put the ones that correspond with the issue, which is what I like. And I love letter columns. I talk about this all the time too. I love when Marvel includes them into their omnibus editions, but I kind of wish they had the foresight to have the letters that they're talking about reflect the issue that you just read. I think it'd be a better reading experience in the omnibus format or a collected edition format like this, because then you read the issue, then you can see what people are talking about of that same issue, rather than you read the issue and you see what people are talking about 3 issues before that. But that's just me. Maybe other people feel differently. So this is the finality of that letters page, then you get to the next issue. Again, you go into that. Now, at the end of the facsimile Year One edition, I do want to point out the last issue. This letter column appeared in Batman 411, but the letters that are corresponding to Batman 407 have 2 famous people in them. Walt Flanagan of Comic Book Men and Kevin Smith, the director's friend Walt Flanagan, who's appeared in a lot of Kevin Smith movies, and also has gone on to draw Batman comics himself with Kevin Smith, has a long letter in here about how great this story was. So that's really cool. And then there's also Alex Toth writing a letter here. So Alex Toth writes in here, talking about how great the art is and how you can see it's a happy blend of Pratt, Munoz, Hernandez, and Battaglia, and Thorne. And then Alex Toth, I think he didn't want to mention himself, but you can see definitely Alex Toth has a influence on David Mazzucchelli's art. So that's really cool. You have Walt Flanagan and Alex Toth in letters. Now we get to the extras in the back, and you get some original art piece of or sketch design layout of the first cover, and you get all the script pages in here. So this is really cool too, because this is not included in like the artist edition, for instance, but you do get like some sketch designs for like the inner cover, and you get the entire script by Frank Miller, and then the layouts by Mazzucchelli, and then some more script pages, and then more layouts, so you can like even go back and forth and compare and contrast. Which again is a good way to format this, because sometimes they just compile like the script all together at the very end of the book, and you could flip back and forth and kind of see what they're talking about. But it's kind of cool to see Mazzucchelli is reading the script and drawing these layouts and seeing what he was taking from the script and then also adding to. And you can still go back and forth and flip through for the final page, but having the entirety of the script pages in here is just really, really amazing. And also you can tell a cool little thing is for people that don't know, didn't ever type on a typewriter. You can see that Frank Miller typed this on a typewriter because there was no backspace button. You're pounding the ink literally on the page. So you have to do these things where you just put X's, go back and put X's over all the letters that you wanted to take out, which is fun. Just a little old person talking to the young people crowd here. And then that's all you get for the back end, the whole entire script and thumbnails. And then the extras on the graphic novel hardcover are some of like the ephemera and advertisements and things. Afterwards by David Mazzucchelli. The Cape Crusader. Oh, this is like this is David Mazzucchelli doing like a comic strip. I can't remember. Or is he doing like redoing the original comic strip? I forget what that is. It's been a while since I actually read that one. You see some of David Mazzucchelli's earliest Batman comics that he drew in 1966, and then here's a sample submission page trying to get a job with DC. Here's him working out some character designs. Just absolutely amazing artwork. David Mazzucchelli is truly an art genius. Here's the who's who that David Mazzucchelli drew. Here's the advertisement, which this is the cover of the artist edition, with some of the stain over here still on there, but you can see what the final piece looked like, which is really cool. So that was Mazzucchelli's original art. Here's the final piece. Now I don't know if that was colored by Richmond Lewis or if this ad was colored by somebody else in-house. I'm going to guess somebody in-house probably, but I don't know. And here's some script pages and thumbnails with the final piece, which is cool. You see like the original art piece with the final piece colored. You see some of the washes and things that Richmond Lewis did for the new edition. And then the cover design, I think, was this Chip Kidd? Yeah, I don't know who designed that. Maybe it was Mazzucchelli. I know Mazzucchelli is pretty hands-on with collected editions. But then here's all of some other types of trade paperbacks and covers they did, and then the biographies. So really, really a great art object that this Absolute Edition is. It's not just the Batman Year One story, but to truly appreciate Batman Year One in its full entity and seeing how great the art was and seeing what made it so special. You get the whole thing here. A great companion, obviously, would be the artist edition by David Mazzucchelli, which, again, I have a video on that if you want to see that. But if you have this copy in the artist edition, I don't think you need to own any other Batman Year One comic or anything, any version other than this. Because, again, this is the facsimile is done so well on this edition that you don't really need this original single issues. Like, if you're collecting Watchmen and you want the original single issues, I can see that argument because they haven't been reprinted those in that kind of facsimile ever, unfortunately. Hopefully one day it will be. But as of now, though, this is like an oversized facsimile edition. I don't know why you would need the single issues unless you want the exact letters, pages, and things that were in those issues. But Really cool object. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Again, I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. I need your help. Give the video a thumbs up. Comment down below with your thoughts on this edition. What your favorite way to read Batman Year One is. If you agree that it's a top 10 comic book of all time. All those things. I love talking comics with you guys. And yeah, just stay tuned for more videos. Thank you guys. Keep talking comics.